Oh, I see what you did there. Today we'll be taking a look at the Arex Rex Zero One and a little bit of its lineage on GBGuns. Hey, welcome back. Sorry for that cheesy play. I couldn't avoid it. As you can clearly see, these guns have something in common. So, the Arex kind of faded from popularity lately, but I think it's an excellent gun. We're going to revisit it today. But before I did that, I wanted to show you something that I've noticed. Now, this hasn't been confirmed, and I haven't heard anyone else corroborate for or against. So, here's my theory. This is the Zastava CZ99. This is a Balkan War era gun. As you can see, Zastava combined the, well, it doesn't have an external safety rather. It's just the decocker, but it's ambidextrous, as is the mag release, with a good solid ejection. You've got a loaded chamber indicator that pops out top. This gun's a bit beat up. It is, like I said, from the early 90s. From there, we move on to the CZ999. These grips are aftermarket, by the way. Awesome guy in Hungary took care of them for me. I did lose a screw, though. But once again, our slide lock / release is doubled with the decocker into one lever. Brilliant design. Ambidextrous magazine release, which is one of the things I like about it because I prefer to use my middle finger right there to bump it rather than to reach around with my thumb. Also a very broad gun, and you can tell it has a lot of that SIG 226 kind of feel to it. The last evolution of it that I'm aware of is the EZ9. This was brought in by Fime Group. They're not bringing them in anymore, but you've got the same thing with the slide release and decocker on the same lever, the same reach. These are great guns, very accurate. We've covered the 999 quite a bit. The CZ, by the way, is serving as Zastava, meaning red flag. That's the old name of the Zastava, which means flag factory. We visited these guys back in 2015, have some old footage. Sorry about the photo quality, camera quality we had back then, but it was a very cool experience. So we had those three evolutions from this Zastava design. After, or in between these two, there was a spin-off company called NB INAT. None of them were ever imported to the US, but he sort of took these improvements that Zastava had in the basic design over the SIG and was able to tune it up a little bit more, put a little more attention to detail on the finish and finer bits of the gun, made for a slightly nicer gun. Then, you may recall SHOT Show 2016, I believe it was, I pointed out that this gun was coming. Later on, we had Military Arms Channel do his gauntlet test. The gun was awesome, and these guns were all the rage, and then people kind of forgot about them. That's part of why I want to revisit it, because it is everything that the Zastavas were, but now, as you can clearly see, much finer machining, cleaner, better looking gun, better fitting gun, and it still has that very nice trigger. Come on. Super crisp. I shouldn't have done that with the mag in. Oh, look at that. Ambi mag release, right? Just like on the Zastavas, just doesn't have the Ambi slide release, and they added the external safety. If you haven't seen our first 3 videos on this gun, quick lowdown, 9mm double stack. You've got 17+1. Superb fit and finish, excellent trigger, and the safety can be left on with the hammer down, in which case you disengage and you've got the long double action. Or, if you want, you can have it cocked and locked, dead trigger, and as soon as you take the safety off, you're in the very crisp single action. So, a lot of good options to it. Built like a tank, rather heavy gun, but just incredible to shoot. An awesome duty-sized gun or range gun. Just proved a bit large and heavy for everyday carry use. But incredible gun. Let's get out to the range and shoot it some more, and I'll show you why I think it's such a great gun.
We'll be starting off with the heavy subsonic stuff, moving all the way to light for caliber. We've got 165 grain,
This
158
is an
grain,
incredibly
147.
accurate and easy gun to shoot. You know, a little bit longer barrel here.
Full mag plus one test on the Arex Rex Zero 1. Here's our 1. And our full mag. Woo, that's tight. See how it runs. Knocked our steel off, but we'll keep shooting. Ran just fine.
For the what's for dinner part of the test, we'll be starting off with the heavy subsonic stuff, moving all the way to light for caliber. We've got 165 grain, 158 grain, 147, 124, 115 steel case, 115 hollow point, 100 grain, 92 grain, 84 grain, 65 grain high velocity, and 65 grain low velocity.
All right, and what's for dinner? We run 3 rounds as always. First one, figure out, can the gun pick it up off of a lock slide? Will it feed this particular bullet shape? Then the second round, we're trying to see if it generates enough energy to cycle the slide, pick up the next one, try that one more time, and the third one is, will it lock back on an empty slide with the energy from that round? We're starting off super heavy, 165 grain subsonics. This is meant for a suppressor, but each round has a different recoil impulse, so we want to see how it runs. Ran just fine. PPU 158 grain. Ran just fine. Browning's 147 grain snub nose. Ran just fine. Spear Gold Dot 115 grain. In the intro, I mistakenly called it 124. That's what the last box of Gold Dot was. So we are skipping that size, but here's your Gold Dot. Ran just fine. Wolf Steel Case 115 grain. Now in our light for caliber, we start off with Hornady Critical Defense Light, 100 grain, also a very short bullet. Doesn't work in all guns. Ran just fine. Fiocchi 92 grain. Ran just fine. Inceptor RNP 84 grain. Ran just fine. Liberty Civil Defense Trainer. This is a high velocity 65 grain, lead free. Whew. I don't know if it comes across on the camera, but you can definitely hear that's a higher velocity. Inceptor RMP 65 grain. Same weight, but 200 feet per second slower than the Liberty. And it ran, folks. The Arex is an omnivore.
For 5 shots from 7 yards using Nosler 115 grain match.
So back from the range with the Rex Zero 1. It's been a while since we've had it out. You may or may not have recalled we were the first to show you that this gun existed, and then of course it became popular after it was the first gun, as I understand it, to make it through Military Arms Channel's gauntlet test without a problem. Great gun, great evolution of the NB INAT and Zastava design, which of course came from the SIG design. I do find the slide release a bit of a reach for my hands. It's a very broad and large-handed gun. That said, very accurate, incredible trigger, and as you saw, it ate all the ammunition we fed it. I really can't complain too much about this gun. I really enjoy shooting it. I do wish it was a little bit thinner in the hand. That's probably about the worst I could say about it. If you happen upon one of these, definitely give it a try.
Alright, so we decided to take the Rex Zero 1 by Arex out to the range again and have a little fun with it. This is an incredibly accurate and easy gun to shoot. You know, a little bit longer barrel here, and that's giving you the longer sight radius, which is awesome. This trigger on this thing is pretty incredible. That said, this thing is fat. So you look at it here, I mean, that's hefty. And if they could just narrow these grips a little bit, this would be a pretty stellar firearm. But, you know, I can't get to anything on this thing. So, I mean, here is my grip, and I'm struggling. I could come over here and pop it out, but I can't really get to the mag release very well. And it feels like it's too much in the hand. That would probably be my only complaint about this, is if they could just make it a little bit thinner. For those of us who don't have monster mitts, it would probably be a really awesome thing.